Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to the Dream Bee Yoga community. Today I have a little bit of a sore voice, so forgive me if I sound a little bit under the weather, but I wanted to come back and talk to you all. I wanted to come back with another yoga philosophy topic. So today's topic is going to be all about the Niyamas. We're following our yoga sutras. We're going into our 8 limbs of yoga. So if you don't know what the 8 limbs of yoga are, Patanjali created the yoga sutras and the 8 limbs of yoga to give us a guideline towards our practice. So ways that we can be just a little bit better physically, emotionally, and spiritually to find more balance and happiness in the world. That's the whole purpose of yoga, is to get us to a sense of peace and happiness within ourselves. When you find that peace and happiness, it inspires you to be better with others, with your family, with your friends, with people around you, to take better care of the planet. This is all what we're heading towards, that sense of samadhi, that sense of just pure bliss and contentment. So the first limb of the 8 limbs of yoga are our yamas, our external worldviews. And if you want to learn more about that, I filmed a video on the yamas, and I'm going to link that video down below. And we're going to go today and talk about our second limb, which is our niyama or niyamas, our internal worldviews and our values. So this can be ways that we really truly take care of ourselves. So what do we believe in? How do we personally want to be a part of this world? It's something that can be so grounding in your yoga practice, to have clear views. It can be something that always brings you back anytime you feel that everything on the outside is going crazy. You remember your internal world and you try to find that peace within. So these kind of things can seem so out there sometimes, especially in spirituality. We have terms and concepts that can seem so big and so grand, but Patanjali made this guideline so it could be a little bit more simple. Especially as humans, we like to be able to see things so we can understand it and remember it. So our niyamas are just 5 rules for really finding those internal values. So let's go into this first niyama, Saucha. Now, forgive me for all of my Sanskrit as usual. I always work on my pronunciation. It's something that I will take the time to practice and to get better on. Saucha is our purity and cleanliness. So remember, we're talking about our internal world. How can we keep ourselves pure and clean? This is all about having a pure and cleaned mind, body, and spirit. Yoga is always going to be that union of mind, body, and spirit. So we want to have a clean body, eating clean, fresh, vibrant, healthy foods. When we want to have a clean mind, we focus on pure, good thoughts, positive thoughts, things that make us feel more faith, more hope, less negativity, less anger, less judgment. We want to keep our mind pure. And that's not always easy, but that's why we have these guidelines to remind us. You know, sometimes when you're having a bad week, it's because we've been eating poorly, and then it affects our mind. We've been thinking so negatively. We've been so stuck in a rut. The more we come back to our practice, we start to clean up our body again, hydrate more, sleep more, rest, and then go back to to your yoga practice, meditate. So as you empty the mind, you're cleaning up the mind. You're cleaning up all that stuff that's been bringing you down. And then clean and pure spirit, having good intentions, goodwill. Helping others always reminds us to also just help ourselves. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So always just remember, go back to that sense. As you clean your house, try to clean up this internal house. Clean up your temple. This can be nice to do sometimes as a practice, like in Ayurveda, our practices are Abhyanga, where we do our massage every morning, do a nice oil massage on your body, do tongue scraping if that helps you feel like you're cleaning out the toxins. Sometimes intermittent fasting can work for people if it makes them feel a little bit more clean, if they've been overindulging. Make sure that your practice is personal and actually beneficial for you. I think when spirituality is talked about on social media, online, we get this sense that everyone has to do the same routine in order to be pure and clean. And I think just that pressure alone sometimes takes us on a path that is actually doing more harm than good. So test out the practices, the foods, and the hobbies that make you feel pure and clean, not that make the other person beside you pure and clean. So try not to follow, even sometimes we have our favorite Instagrammers or even our favorite YouTubers and their morning routine. We try it out, it doesn't really work for us. That is totally okay. Really find those practices that make you feel completely clean inside. Eat those foods that make your tummy not feel so heavy, that make your mind not feel so heavy. That's the best thing about yoga that I personally love, is really getting to know yourself, getting to know what you like, what works, what doesn't work. And it's gonna sometimes be a long journey, a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of foods that I used to eat because I used to see, you know, TikToks and Instagram posts about, oh, eating these 5 foods every single day will make you completely detox. And it was just harming my system more than anything. So find your practice to stay pure and clean. Going into our second niyama, it is santosha. Santosha is all about contentment, feeling satisfied. And in our internal world, sometimes it is so hard to just feel satisfied. We think that we need everything from the outside to complete us. We need more clothes, we need more money, we need more friends, more traveling adventures. And after doing all of those things that we've been looking for this whole time, we still don't feel satisfied. That is because all of the outside noise has absolutely nothing to do with your inside world, with your soul, with your body, your mind, and your spirit. Sometimes that stuff can help, for sure. Even in the spiritual world, sometimes buying new yoga clothes, buying crystals makes us feel so good. But are we actually content without that stuff? It's definitely, those are nice questions to ask. So we have to find contentment within ourselves without anything else. On days where you're alone and silent, how do you feel? When you're meditating and there's nothing else that seems important, how do you feel? Finding this contentment is all going to come from the mind. So as our minds get entangled, get caught up in storylines, get caught up in repeated thoughts that are just bringing us down every day, sometimes obsessive thoughts, we have to remember that we have to find that contentment by removing all of those stories, by removing the guilt, the judgment that we put on ourselves, by removing the expectation. Sometimes we think in order to be a good person, a good yogi, I have to do this, 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 and this. and then in the end you're just not happy. It has to always come back to a simpler place and a simpler state of being. So we need to really remove all of those excess thoughts and noises. And coming back to meditation is always a great way to do that. Being really self-aware. So what thoughts do keep coming into my mind? What is my biggest struggle when I'm feeling super stressed? What is the thought that is haunting me? When I'm feeling anxious, what is that anxious thought? What am I afraid of? The more self-aware, the easier it is to just be content. So just ask yourself those questions in meditation. See what are those thoughts that are blocking you from just your own sense of being, your own nature. This is all about coming back to our simplest form, our natural self. Going into our third niyama, we have our tapas. Tapas is an amazing way to work on ourselves. It is our sense of discipline and discernment. And every time I personally start to lose my way, I try to just give myself the word, kind of like a mantra, and remind myself discernment. That has been one thing that I've been able to sustain in my practice, is always coming back to my tapas, discernment. It's that willpower. So when you're having a week where you've been eating poorly, you haven't been sleeping enough, you haven't been doing your yoga, remember that willpower, discernment, self-control. And then it kind of can wake you up and be like, oh yes, I have to get back in control. I have to choose the path that I want. If I want to live more sattvically, if I want to have just a little bit less anger, a little bit less pressure on myself, then I have to choose. I have to choose the right foods. I have to choose less stress in my life. So that's going to be so personal. That's going to be whatever it means to you. My choices and my decisions will be so different from yours based on our environments, our lifestyle, our own internal struggles. For one person, it may be really difficult to eat clean, fresh foods, but it might be really easy for them to have a stable meditation practice every day. And for someone else, it could be the opposite. Maybe they find it very easy to cook fresh foods and eat well and do exercise, but they get lost in their anxieties and their thoughts and their entanglement. So our discernment just brings us back to choosing the right decisions, choosing sattvic decisions. So choosing also, like our first two niyamas, choosing to make our mind, body, and spirit pure, choosing to be content, and just continuing that sense of awareness. The more self-aware you are, the easier it is to choose what is right for you. Our fourth niyama is svadhyaya. Svadhyaya is our sense of self-study. When all of these things around us are making us feel so disconnected, sometimes self-studying can be a concrete way to get back to ourselves, to get back to our practice. So going back to sacred scriptures, maybe reading your yoga sutras, the Bhagavad Gita. It could be, if your spiritual practice is the Bible, if it's mantras or poetry, things that make you remember why you want to be a little bit better, why you want to get back to yourself. It can be journaling and really studying your hopes and dreams, things that make you feel just so much lighter, especially when things around you feel darker. Being inspired and being passionate is such a beautiful way to get back to yourself. So also such a beautiful way to connect with the source around you, to remember about the beauty of nature and the earth and community and humanity. Sometimes reading words on paper can be so impactful. Remembering our yoga sutras can bring us those memories of that first time we heard them, that first time you heard a yoga teacher or a guru speaks those words and how amazing you felt. So really going into self-study. And our fifth niyama is Isvara Pranidhara. This is our sense of surrender after doing all of these practices and steps towards ourselves. How do we now just let go and be? So our Isvara Pranidhara is knowing that even though you may do the steps and the practices, there is still so many things that are out of your control, and that is totally okay. There is so many beautiful ways that by letting go, you can feel the faith all around you. It's putting all that faith in nature, in God, in the universe, in that higher power and consciousness that you believe in. It's that beautiful sense of just letting go. We can feel that in our yoga practice when we do things like yoga nidra, shavasana. When we let it all go, there's something magical that happens. There's like this inner light that feels seen, that feels heard. Sometimes you can feel like that vibration of it within you. When you meditate and you feel that switch where you've just stopped thinking and you're just being. That is what we're trying to go towards. More moments like that throughout your day. More moments like that in your life. Special moments of release. There's no more attachment. There's no more noise. There's just the birds flying in the sky. The sense of life all around you, life within you. And you just go with the flow of life. You just let the universe push you and pull you in different directions, taking on new challenges and new adventures, but without struggle, with curiosity, with energy, with humanity and empathy. When we get rid of all of that other stuff, we know inside what is right. We know what is true. We know that nature is good, that life and energy is good. So you can let go. You can take those steps and start to build up that sense of control. And then once you feel that you have practiced the self-awareness, you have practiced how to make those decisions, then you can just let go. And it may seem weird to say that, to finding the control and then letting go. But it's about finding the control to take those right steps, just so you can build your faith. You can build a sense of cleanliness within, and then you know that you can just release the mind and be free of all that noise. So practice your Isvara Pranidhara. Practice your Isvara Pranidhara. It can be in little moments when you're feeling stressed and you don't want to let go of that stress. Just let it go. When you've been working so hard on something but you see it's not working, just let it go and let the world kind of show you the way. Don't get so caught up in the stories in your head. Just try to be an open space so that if new things need to come into your life, you have space. You're not just holding on and attached to everything right now. You're letting it go so things are able to flow freely around you. And I hope these steps make you feel a little bit better. They can be wonderful ways to just come back to our practice, especially when we've come out of it for some time. I hope they can be wonderful questions that you add in your meditations. I thank you so much for being here with me today, for talking about yoga and life. I appreciate you all so much, and namaste.